Hey everybody, it's Stitch 1993, and today we're going toy hunting. Now, we're going to two places that I've been going to for a couple years now. The first place is called Cobb Antique Mall, located in Marietta, Georgia. Now, this place is huge. I'm not going to be showing every single square footage of this place, but I am going to be showing many of the little areas that me and my wife do tend to stop and look at along our walk there, because there's just so many toys, and normally we do find, or at least I find, something every time I've gone in there. So I normally go in with a budget of $50, and we're going to two places today. So that's $50 for both places, bundled as one place. So whatever I don't spend in the $50 at one, I have left over to the second. So first we're gonna be walking into. We always go to this place first because it is right down. The first place is right down the road from, or the second place is right down the road from the first place. So going into the first area, it is mainly comic books and pops. However, we do see Star Wars and G.I. Joe. And one really cool item is this giant 12-inch Luke Skywalker figure based on the old concept art. There's also some pops and puzzles. And then above, we've got some old classic G.I. Joe stuff. Now, I don't really collect the G.I. Joe toys, and I seldom collect the Star Wars figures. I've really got to. The piece really has to speak to me, and it has to be for a good price before I pick it up. I am currently on the lookout for potato heads as well as Toy Story items, so we'll see what we find here today. So there's some potato heads right down there. However, I own all three of those. That's the Darth Vader, the Spud Trooper, and the R2 Potato. We got some strawberry shortcake and Cabbage Patch Kids, and right above that we've got He-Man toys. This is another series I just honestly never got into. I admit the figures looked awesome. It just was before and after my time. It really was not popular among my generation. This Saboba was really interesting though, and it was a pretty good price. They had a lot of the 12-inch Star Wars figures there. I always like looking at them. More G.I. Joes. Again, not a series I really get into, but it's always nice looking at. In the same area, of course, there's Pops. This one caught my eye just of how huge it is. It is the, I guess, Disney's 100th anniversary version of the Alice with the Cheshire Cat. And then in the glass case right beside me, we've got some more just figurines and statues of Marvel characters and other comic book characters in general. Then some more of the pricier, rarer pops available. This little side area really intrigued me because I never have seen these 3.25-inch figurines of the Star Wars concept art figures. So again, these are all figures based off the official concept art for Star Wars before they all got their official looks. Yep. That Chewbacca creature would eventually, of course, turn into an official creature in the Star Wars universe much later on. He was even in a recent episode of Mandalorian, if I recall correctly. There's some interesting looking Star Wars figurines here. Again, not the ones I've ever seen. Apparently they're from a series called Star Wars Unleashed. On the other side is always like the most rarest toys. Oh, these are the, if you don't know, these are the Power of the Force figures, where they try to make Luke and some of the other characters more buff than they usually are. It's always funny looking and pointing those out. Alright, so yeah, this above it's got some of the more interesting Ghostbusters, G.I. Joe, Transformers, toys, Lego, got some more Star Wars. That decoration span there has been there for a year. And then, yep, looking at these more expensive Star Wars action figures and books. Definitely out of the $50 price range. Those read along adventure books did look interesting. Uh, Land Speeder and Droid Factories. I always found the Droid Factory playset to be interesting. This really caught my eye. Again, it was out of my price range, but it is a 1981 Kenner magazine that would be distributed to, I believe, toy stores like Toys R Us and Kmart. And basically, this was for the stores to decide what they wanted to stock on the shelves. And then just below that was another really interesting thing is animation cells from the Star Wars series droids. It's always interesting seeing stuff in here. The got some Lord of the Rings figures in as well. I never really got into the collecting the toys, but love the movies though. In the next case, we got some of the more interesting Lego sets there for both Star Wars and some of the other series, King Kong, and then we've got graded comic books of some of the more classic series and boxed Garbage Pail Kids. This Daggett doll has also been here for a couple years, as well as most of that Battlestar Galactica toys. Some Transformers and other miscellaneous items below. And the Ghostbusters shelf, which is slowly being taken over by Simpsons. There used to be some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles signed by Peter Laird in one of these cases, but it seems that between this time and my last visit, those had been bought. So going across there from that, we hit up our first little, lot. And this area, I haven't picked up anything from this, but it's always nice to see what's in there. My wife pointed out these Seven Dwarfs pictures there. But as I said, it was always interesting seeing what's on these shelves there because you never know. Like, look at this Crash Team Racing pinball and a SpongeBob pinball machine. Just interesting stuff. And then they've got some Dragon Ball Z figurines above me. Whole shelf of plushies. There's a Christmas themed Snow White doll, kind of looked interesting. And this is in Georgia, so you will see a lot of Gone with the Wind memorabilia. So, yeah. Just some 90s, early 2000s toys. This glass case always has some interesting stuff like those Spice Girls dolls, Betty Boop, the Tin Man, and more just random stuff. I think that's a puppet of some sort for Three Stooges. Yeah. It's always interesting going into a antique, quote unquote antique mall and seeing some not so antique-ish video game stuff like the Wii and Wii U stuff. More random action figures. Got some Godzilla, Predator. I had to point this out because I remember growing up with these Play School Star Wars sets. I just liked how chunky they were, and I believe they did a couple of different franchises, but Star Wars was their main one. So above me was a really big TMNT figure. Alright, so they started selling these about a year ago, and this just makes me old. They are 90s starter kits. It includes a VHS, this is a Buzz Lightyear that I already have, but going back, those starter kits include a VHS, of a 90s movie, a McDonald's toy, a cell phone, and usually it's like a one of those slap bracelets or maybe a Tamagotchi or something just insignificant or cheap. And they just started doing that. I'm just like, no, stop it. This was cool. This is the Star Wars Episode 1 Pepsi promos. And I believe these would be on like the little racks where you'd buy chips or, buy the Pepsi cans. And I remember getting some of those in like the vending machines growing up. And some not so antique toys. Usually it says this is a quote unquote antique mall where there is a good bit of antiques, but there's also what I would consider more like vintage or retro, not so much antique. That art booth over there always looked interesting. There's some comic books. Alright, so we're getting over to the first big lot here. And these McDonald's plates jumped out because I remember having one of them growing up between me and my sister, and we'd always argue over it. Every time I come, they always have different plates, and I've never been able to find the one that I grew up with. So, if I find it, I will buy it. But so that today was not the day. A lot of M&M stuff. I was actually kind of looking at the dinosaur toys below there because my niece really loves them. More Spice Girl dolls. This looks like the complete set there. Also, like those classic McDonald's glasses with the classic characters from the 70s and 80s. We got some gift shop toys from various McDonald's and Disney stores. A lot of Disney stuff in this area. Alright, this area was a lot of McDonald's toys, including some that had that's right, those are the Happy Meal bags. Somebody kept those in pristine condition. But you'll see some small soldier toys. These, the Backstreet Project. Yeah, there was a I want to say late 90s, early 2000s show that was trying to be action, like X-Men style show with the Backstreet Boys. We got some more McDonald's toys, little changeables, and the Fry Guys. I've got most of the Fry Guys. I'm missing one, the cowboy one, and I looked through these, but they didn't even have the pieces for it, so kind of a bust there. Always still nice to see them. This was cool. This was I believe a 1960s Barbie's Dream House. So I didn't open it all the way up, but you can see it looks like it has most of the parts there. It looks like it was in really good condition. Only $100 too. So a lot more. They had a lot of vintage and retro Barbie stuff over there, as well as some of the Kelly dolls as well. I remember that keytar though. I remember we didn't have it, but I remember like a friend had it. Dollhouse from the 90s that brought back some memories. And then a lot of Care Bears toys, like a lot of them. I'm not a Care Bear collector, but it's just always interesting seeing that stuff. There's some Pokemon stuff there as well, and more of those Ty Beanie Baby McDonald's bags. More racks of plushies. Every now and then I'll find something interesting in them, or at least my wife will. Alright, so this is the second large toy area, and it's really compact, as you can see here, but wall-to-wall toys. Almost reminds me of like Toys R Us back in the good old days. A lot of just kind of bulk toys here. This Koosh Ball Gungan toy looked really interesting. I was going to pick it up, but it did not have a price tag on it, and I just didn't want to go through the whole spiel of them having to call up the person, because this is an antique store. So every lot is owned by a different person. If there's not a price tag on it, then they have to call the person, explain what the toy is. The person has to look it up, call us back, and say what the price is. It's just a whole mess. So I've learned if it doesn't have the price tag, it's just not, unless it's something I really want, it's just better just leaving it be. So yeah, whole bunch of like, eh, most of these you can probably still find on Amazon or Walmart, depending on your Walmart. And some of the like the Airbender toys, those are from Toys R Us. I did see those Toy Story toys, but I don't really collect that series, the hard plastic toys. I don't like the size. They don't match really anything else in my collection, so I kind of passed on them. This Annie doll has been there for the longest time and is always creepy. Some Pokemon plushes and Stranger Things plushes and other Disney stuff. And then we got a whole bunch of interesting Power Rangers stuff. And I grew up on Power Rangers, but I never, got into the toys. But it was interesting seeing stuff like the toothbrush and the playmat and all that other stuff. Just, stuff they don't really make anymore. Just random collector and, stuff that was meant to be used for a couple months and then thrown away. Again, more. There's a lot of Power Rangers stuff over here. I swear, if you're a Power Rangers fan, this is the lot to go in. More Toy Story stuff I already own. I think that's a Monster High doll house there. Some Mystic Knights of Turnanog figures down there. Some Hot Wheels. And then above me, more Power Rangers, both from the 90s to 2000s shows. And then above me, way over there, were some Spider-Man and DC superpower vehicles. These Bandai, you saw that price tag. Those Bandai cars, always really enticing, but then I look at the price tag and not so much. Man, that rad, or the radio control robot there, always looks cool. But again, no price tag, and I don't have room for it. And one last look at the Power Ranger stuff before we go on to the next area. There is a little bit here out front, which is just kind of plastic bags full of random stuff. This Buzz Lightyear was missing his discs, but it still worked, so that was kind of cool. Alright, so I kind of did a little detour into one of the areas we don't normally go into. It's kind of a bit tight, and as you can see, there's kind of just stuff strewn about. So if you've got a buggy with you, it's really hard to look at it. But this is more of the actual antique area there. As you saw, there was a Walton's and a Annie lunchbox that had seen better days. There were some board games there. Interesting copy of Monopoly. Good Humor Ice Cream Kid toy trike. And I'm just seeing the sights here. Not really. I don't think I've ever found anything or bought anything from this area, but it's, always nice to just see what's there, what I can recall, what brings back a memory or two. And while you guys are watching this, if anything pops out at you that you think looks interesting, most of the stuff kind of stays here for a couple months before it's bought. And I usually try to go there at least once a month or once every other month. So if you see something you think I should look more into, leave me a comment. I'll go and make a list. And when I go back the next time, I'll record more of it or check it out, see if it's worth purchasing or anything. There's some more cups. That clown one is, I believe, from the Greatest Show on Earth series. And just some random dolls. Alright, so this lot was actually really cool. It's a newer one, so I had never seen it before. This guy had a lot of stuff. And some stuff from the 90s, 2000s, some stuff from like the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So Lala Loopsy. I was actually really interested in this Pajanimals because I didn't grow up with the show and I assumed it did well because I believe I saw commercials for it forever. But it just, I didn't know they made toys of it because I never saw the toys in Toy Store. Or at least, you know, by the time it came out, I was too old for it, so maybe I just didn't pay any attention. As you see, there's some more Power Rangers, but there's some Rainbow Bright. There's some early Play School and Fisher Price toys, including some little people. And, let's see, a lot of Revel model kits here. Some little board games, Teletubbies. Alright, this putt-putt bumpity race thing, I kind of look at it a couple times because my dad growing up had a Sears catalog that showed that in there, and it was always cool. So it was neat seeing that in person. And some more board games. Nothing really that I'm looking out for at this moment. Alright, this next lot here, I believe is Toy Collector or something on that nature. Always has so many Star Wars figurines. Like if you're going for a complete collection of the Phantom Menace figures or the Power of the Force figures, this is the area to be. Or if you just want a creepy China doll, though they've got those too. As well as these International Brides, which is like the creepiest name for a toy ever. Also many pops. So many pops. Pretty sure like there's a pop on like almost every aisle of this place. We got some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Ghostbusters stuff from the 80s. I do collect Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I don't collect from the 80s or even the 90s. I really got into it for the 2011 series. So I'm always on the lookout for those figures. But that case did not have any. Some other little just random miscellaneous buttons, pogs. Aliens figurine look cool. Lots of Hot Wheels from past 10, 15 years or so. Some more board games, electronic board games. I think that Sorry board game is sealed. And then there's some glass cases that just have a hodgepodge of figurines and pops in there. That Peanut Butter Factory looked very interesting, as well as that Rudolph's figurines. But yeah, make your own peanut butter. Okay. More random toys. This was cool. All these old, I want to say 60s, 70s, some 80s, Japan robot figurines. Some of them were just like accessories for the robots. They weren't even full like figures, just accessories. An R2-D2 eraser. The BB-8. I've got one of those. It is in storage. It works great. Like that is the best version of BB-8. If you're wanting a BB-8 that works like it does in the movies, get that one. I found this was interesting. This Partridge Family gift bag, plastic, shopping bag. Just random stuff you run into at the Cobb Antique Mall. One more antique glass. This has more He-Man and some Ninja Turtles, as well as video games and G.I. Joes and some Pokemon, which we'll get to in a bit. I've never really purchased any of the video games at this antique mall. Anytime I'm going to the antique mall or the toy store, as we'll see here, I'm not really in the mood for video games. I'm in the mood for toys. So, yep, there's the TMNT figurines there, all from, looks like the 80s and early 2000s. There's some Mad Balls, Tiger Electronics, and there's some Pokemon. Some Pokemon cards there. And those, I believe those are Z-Bots to the left right there. Yep. All decently priced. I don't think that I've ever overpaid for anything at this location. Everybody seems to know either to price it at eBay or below eBay. Oh, there was a Zoid in there. Speaking of Zoids, we'll look at it later. All right, so as I was going to one section, I ran across this guy, Mr. Machine. I've always wanted them, and this guy looked like he was in decent shape. It didn't look like he was missing any parts there, and he was decent price. I believe he was $28 or $38, and he moved well, but I don't know. It seemed like it was just a surprise, and I hadn't done my research on the Mr. Machine, so I wasn't sure if this was of a good condition or not, so I skipped on it this time. All right, another area that I really have good luck finding stuff here. This is where I got a potato head a couple times ago, and they had these little read-along series with the records. And I saw these McDonald ones. I've really been getting into collecting McDonald's just stuff, and they had all these little records there for about $11 a piece. And I was really tempted to buy them because I really like the covers, but looking closer at them, the songs were just of like row, row, row your boat, and hokey pokey and stuff. Looks like they had an orchestra on the B side of things, and on the back it was I was looking to see if they were of good condition, and at first it looked like they were, but on closer inspection they had a lot of smudges and scratches, and I'm sure somebody that had more knowledge of vinyls and records would be able to clean them, but I do not have that knowledge, so that was a pass. I don't collect the little tiny Miss Potato Heads, but those were interesting. That Gumby Play-Doh set thing there has been there forever. since the first time I visited it, it's always been there. I think they want like $20 for it, which is why nobody wants to buy it, because it does not seem that that's the correct price for it, in my opinion. A lot of Barbie carrying cases up there. I believe these were all Polly Pockets. That Snoopy chair looked interesting. Some M&M dispensers and some more classicer toys. This is what I actually would call antique toys. These were from between this probably late 50s to early 70s there. So, yeah, I guess people would still consider that vintage. I believe every single nursery or daycare I've ever gone to has had that little fit the shapes inside the container there, as well as that record player, that little toy record player right there. I've been growing up, had to go to so many daycares, and every single one of them had those same toys. That was interesting. Didn't really see any books that I really wanted. Again, when I go to these places, it's more for the toys. And speaking of toys, we're on our last section here. This is just a random hodgepodge of everything. Honestly, you got some Legos, you got more Power Rangers toys, you've got a whole bunch of Disney plushes, Ghostbusters, Imaginext, Star Wars, TMNT. And every now and then, of course, Pop Vinyls. Every now and then I'll find something that's worth my interest and pick it up there. Today, though, it just wasn't it. And I was kind of getting disappointed because I'd gone through this almost the entire store and had not bought a single thing or found a single thing to buy. So I thought I was going to walk out of the store with nothing, which is fine. I don't have to buy something every time I go in here. It's just, I like to support the semi-local community. This place is about an hour's drive from me, but still worth it. But yeah, couldn't find anything there until, and I'll show it at the end of this video, until we went by this one small lot that we usually, or at least I usually don't stop at. But they had some plushies there, and I don't normally collect plushies. That's more of my wife's style. But we found one, and I'll show it to you at the end of the video. It was a decent price. So now we're going to Second Chance Toys, and this is literally about 5 minutes down the road from the antique mall. And of course, even before you walk into the store, it's got these giant, great paintings of all the classic 80s and 90s toy series there. And it's filled to the brim with awesome toys. This is another place don't think I've ever walked out of the store without finding something cool, or especially buying something cool. That Mickey Mouse Magic Kingdom box, that looked really interesting because it was from the Romper Room series. And yeah, whole bunch of Toy Story and Disney toys, dinosaurs, Treasure Planet, classic Disney store toys, you name it, they probably had at least one figure of it in there. We got a whole bunch of Strawberry Shortcake and Generation 1 My Little Ponies. Even saw Teddy Ruxpin in there. We've got some puzzles, both completed and, easy to do. I believe that was Strawberry Shortcake. And then we got just some random toys here and there. These were, I believe, some G.I. Joes. Yep. And it's got my attention. This Disney Storybook Felt Fun Pack, which had characters from both The Lion King and The Jungle Book, as I guess they were all felt pieces that you could kind of stick and, play around with. These glass, above the glass cases and inside are just a bunch of great, retro 80s, 90s anime series, Astro Boy, Voltron. You got some Zoids in there. At one point they had some Sailor Moon, but then we bought them all. This rack here, you'll notice some Croft Superstars series, and I bought a couple of them already, and I'll show them later on next year in some reviews. The other ones are kind of duplicates or for figures that I just did not care about. They recently got in a lot of the Muppet Show figures, and although I'm a big fan of the Muppet Show series, I just never got into the toys. Let's see, a bunch of Gumby stuff in there, whole bunch of Gumby, but not the Gumby that I'm collecting for. California Raisins. My grandma collected California Raisins, so every time I see those, I think of her. There's some hand puppets and some Snoopy stuff. More Disney, a lot of 101 Dalmatians, and some Pops. And then these caught my eyes. Zoids, especially early, I want to say 2001, 2002, 2003 Zoids. Man, I remember looking at these in Walmart and just salivating over them. And I had to pick up one. I think all of them were pre-built. So that took a little bit of the fun out of it. But I'm going to be, displaying these anyways. So I picked up that little crab one right there. I'll show it at the end of this video. That Killerdrome. That was Killer Dome, excuse me. That's one I always wanted. They didn't have the Stegosaurus, which is the one I had, or one of the ones I had growing up. So I'm always on the lookout for that one. They were all really, really well priced. I think Killer Dome was $20, which is fine by me. More Pops. You can't get away from them. They're both a cool little knick-knack and a disease that's just slowly taking over everything. I collect. I can't say anything. I'm part of the problem, honestly. both me and my wife. And they had some really interesting ones this time. This Land of the Giant can, I don't know, always look cool. My wife had to point out this pop vinyl, especially because of the, that's her favorite scene from the Avengers. It's probably a lot of people's favorite scene from the Avengers. Some old figurines. And there's more Waltons. It was so weird seeing Waltons. Like, I've never seen anything outside of the television show. And then in both places, I found Walton stuff. Interesting coincidence. This had a lot of the adult animation figurines in there, including South Park and The Simpsons. And then some just kind of random, more pops, random pop vinyl figurines. That Pink Panther toothbrush looked cool too, as well as that SpongeBob Barbie. And then this was the second part of the store where we had a little glass cases, a King Kong panorama place that caught my eye too. But was a little bit out of my price. Same with these. Believe these were photographs taken of the toys. Forgot the name of the person that did these, but he did a really good job. And so that concludes my visits. The camera lost battery after that, so I wasn't able to show you the rest of the store. But look out for future videos. I'll make sure to capture the rest of the store. It's not as big as the antique mall, but again, walking into probably like a late 90s, actually mid 90s to early 2000s Kmart or Walmart back in the great heyday where they had tons and tons of shelves of toys. Checking them out online. Second Chance Toys and Collectables. But of course, we're at the end of the video here, so I'm going to show you off both what I got and what my wife picked up. So of course, I picked up that Killer Dome figurine. He was $20. He was completely built, and the only thing he was missing was a little wheel so that you could push him along. But other than that, he was fine, and I didn't mind missing that one piece. I did pick up another Toy Story toy. This was from McDonald's for Toy Story 2. This was the Jessie doll figure. And then my wife found at the toy store a Paddington Bear plush, Alice in the Little Disney Teacup Ride pop, as well as a Merida pop. I also found I believe this is Dreg from the 2011 TMNT toy line. And I think he is complete. I don't remember if he came with a weapon or not, but he was in really good condition, and I believe he was only $10. So, of course. And then the one thing I found at the Antique Mall, and again, as I said, I normally don't get into plushes, but I really enjoyed Maisie growing up, and I had this plush still had its tags. It even include one of the tags is like you open it up and it's a whole little catalog of the other toys made by Yacht Toy Company, which interesting enough, the Paddington Bear plush that my wife got at a different store at the Second Chance Toys, also made by Yacht Toys, so that was kind of cool. So, but this was, yeah, complete, still in great condition. I had to pick it up. And that is going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and my adventure. And, yeah, make sure to like and subscribe for future toy hunt videos. I'll be back again to both these places. And if you saw anything that I just kind of scanned over or didn't really get a good look at, let me know. And if it's still there next time, I will definitely check it out a little bit more. And until next time, thank you and have a good day. Bye.